Hello, and welcome to today's lesson. Today, we will focus on setting purpose from engagement text to decodables.
Materials.
The only materials that you will need for today's lesson is your thinking cap. Get ready. We have 2 learning targets for today's lesson. The first learning target says, using evidence from the text, I can answer questions about the story The Jazz Trio. The second learning target says, I can read the decodable text, The Jazz Trio.
Read aloud.
Listen carefully as I read our new engagement text, The Jazz Trio. Follow along as I read. After I read, I will ask you some questions about the story. Josh is on his way home to the alley one night when he hears music coming from a restaurant. He cannot tell what type of instruments he is hearing, but he knows he can feel the beats and the rhythm of the music all through his little rat body. He has to find that music. He follows the sounds to a restaurant where some humans are playing and listening to the music. One is playing a saxophone, another is playing the piano, and another person is playing drums. There are other instruments too. The people call the music jazz. The next day, Josh cannot get this jazz music out of his mind. He wants to make music too. He searches through the trash for instruments. As he searches, the lid of the tin trash can comes crashing down. The sound it makes when it hits the ground is like the cymbals of the drum set from last night. He will use the lid as an instrument. He finds a stick and imitates the drummer from the jazz band. He taps the lid with a steady rhythm. Chip walks through the alley and asks, "What is that noise? Are you ringing a bell?" "No, I am using the lid as an instrument. I am playing jazz." "Can I play too?" asks Chip. Josh looks around and sees a pot next to the restaurant trash can. "Yes, you can use the pot as a drum. We can play together, just like real jazz musicians." Chip finds another stick and starts to follow the rhythm Josh is playing with the lid. Then Ben, the rat, shows up. He does not want to play an instrument. He likes to whistle and hum. He uses his voice like an instrument. Tap, tap, thud, thud, whistle, hum. I never thought a pot, a lid, a cat, and 2 rats could sound so great. Jazz is fun, says Chip as they continue to make music together.
Question and answer.
What does Josh hear coming from the restaurant? Jazz music. How does Ben make music? He uses his voice as an instrument. In the story, it says he found a stick and imitated the drummer from the jazz band. What does it mean to imitate the drummer? Josh copied the jazz drummer by tapping the lid with a steady rhythm.
Word work.
Our new story this week is based on The Jazz Trio. Before we read, let's look at some high frequency words that we will see in our story. This is the word and, This is the word he. You will also search for the word is in our story today. The last word you will look for in our story today is said. Let's see how many high frequency words we can find in the jazz trio.
Read aloud.
As we read, search for our high frequency words. And, he, is, and said. Touch your nose when you hear one. Josh has a tin lid. He will tap it. Do you see any of our high frequency words here? I see the word he. Is that a bell? Said Chip. What is it? Do you see any of today's high frequency words here? I see is twice and the word said. It is jazz, said Josh. Do you see any of today's high frequency words here? Is and said. Chip has a pan. Tap, tap, thud, thud. Do you see any of today's high frequency words here? No, I don't see any either. Chip and Josh can tap and thud. Ben can hum. Do you see any of today's high frequency words here? I see the word and twice. Jazz with you is such fun, said Chip. Do you see any of today's high frequency words here? Is and said.
Closing reflection.
What tools did you use to read the jazz trio? I hope you are thinking about finding high frequency words to help you along the way. Continue to search for our high frequency words and he, is, and said as you read this week. See you next time. Bye.